Hi guys, I'm online. I'm just setting up for today, so I'll be back in a few minutes. Okay guys, just make sure that you put your hand down. I'm going to put mine down. And also if you could make sure that you run your audio setup wizard so you know if you're going to hear me and I can hear you, that would be awesome. I'm going to give, I'll give you the chat and stuff for a few minutes. We don't start for another 6 minutes yet. So I will be back right at 4 o'clock. Thanks. Okay guys, just remember to put your hand down once you're in. It's at 3:58, so we'll start in 2 minutes. The chat's been open for a bit, so. Oh, that's interesting, Kate. I didn't know that we could do Russian on our keyboards. Is that a keyboard that you can change languages back and forth on? Okay, I read through the questions. There doesn't seem to be anything too much. I'm hoping that today it looked like the lesson was going pretty well. So today we're just going to do the opposite. So we started out doing fractions to decimals in today's math class. So how hard is it to turn a decimal into a fraction? So the opposite of what we were working on today at school. It's a bit easier to convert decimals to fractions because the denominator is always a base 10 number. So what I mean by that is that you're not ever going to get a fraction out of 27 or 65. It's always going to be a base 10 number, which is like 10, 100, 1,000, or 10,000 as the denominator for your fraction when you're converting a decimal into a fraction. So we're going to remember back to our first lesson and how decimal place value works. I'm going to put up the, you probably will recognize this screen. All right. So we looked at the different place values that there were. The first was thousands, hundreds, tens, and ones. And then usually, and I don't know why it's not there, I thought it was on this, but I'm going to put it right there. The decimal goes right here. You can see I just did that in yellow. That's where the decimal goes, between the ones and the tenths. The tenths is the first place where we get to a fractional or less than one number. All right? So whether or not you're doing decimals or fractions, what you are actually doing is working with numbers less than 1. Trying to make that go away. All right, so the first part that we come across in decimal is the tenths. And you can see that is one place after the decimal. After that is hundredths. And you'll notice the THS on the end means that it's fractional. These are parts of a whole. So what the decimal 1 is 1 divided into 10 pieces. Decimal 01 is 1 divided into 100 pieces. Decimal 001 is 1 divided into 1,000 pieces. And decimal 0001, which is the farthest that we're going to go, is 10 thousandths, or 10,000 pieces what one thing is divided into. So when we're looking at place value then, how do we make each into a fraction? So what is a fraction of tenths going to have as its denominator? That's the bottom part of the fraction that tells us how many pieces it's divided into. So in the tenths column, how many pieces, how are we going to write that fraction? What is our denominator going to be? Anybody want to go with that? Oh, I don't know, there we go. It's going to be 10 actually, Callum. So here we go. I'm going to just go up here. I'm going to use my famous pen, which you all know I'm terrible at, but that's fine. So tenths look like this, decimal 1. So it equals 1 over 10. Oops. Nice straight line there. 1 over 10. All right? So hundredths. Hundredths. Who wants to take a guess at what the denominator is going to be for hundredths? William thinks out of 100. Shama, 2 zeros, that's right. So it's over, if I'm doing decimal 0.1, that equals 1 over, let me try to put it sideways so I don't look like I'm so bad at this, 100. Now, notice that I put decimal 0.1. What would decimal 10 be? What would decimal 10 be? 10 out of 100. That's right. So 1 out of 100 or 100th is 1 over 100. So thousands. Let's look at thousands. Manreet says 3 zeros, and she's right. So instead of hundredths, now we're into thousands, it's 1 and 3 zeros. So what Manreet's noticing, and what we talked about today in class, is that if you're at 0.1, 0.01, or 0.001, the number of place values behind the decimal you have is the number of zeros you have in your denominator. All right? So all tenths are over 10. All hundredths are over 100. All thousandths are over 1,000. And what do we think? All 10,000ths will be over. Sharma's right. Manreet's right. Tons of people right. Lexi's right. Caden. It's over 4. It has 4 zeros after 10,000. And if you look at that, it makes sense. Because if you look at the number, if we were on the opposite side of the number line, if we were at whole numbers, that's what 10,000 would be. So 1/10,000 is decimal 0, 0, 0, 1. 4 places behind the decimal, 4 zeros in your denominator. Can anybody tell me what happens though when it's a repeating decimal? It gets trickier. Okay. What if I have, there's a line over it, excellent, we put a line over it. So I've got decimal 9 like this. Repeating. What's the denominator of that fraction? Nobody knows this one. They haven't been paying attention to the fractions. It's actually over 9, or 99, or 999. So repeating decimals are all, and this is the only exception, is the repeating ones, is that they're over 9s. All right? So if I have decimal 6 for repeating, what is my fraction going to be? I'm going to write it down here, see if anybody beats me. Apparently that's the thing to do, is to beat me. Here we go. I'm going to write it down. It's going to be 64. And what's my denominator going to be? 99. If I had decimal 6 repeating, like my decimal 9 repeating here, that would be 9 over 9. It's the only case it wouldn't look like 1, but it's just decimal 9 repeating. So all of the repeating decimals are over 9, 99, 999, depending on how many decimals, how many digits repeat. So I'm going to just clear this so we've got some room to work. Let's say we've got this decimal. Okay. decimal 125, and there's a bar over the whole thing. We know that the bars show our repeating decimal. So somebody tell me what the equivalent fraction is going to be to decimal 125 repeating. The 3 digits repeat, so what is it going to be over? Excellent, William. Excellent, Stephen Manreed. That's right. So it's going to be 125 over 999. Any questions about that? Going once, going twice on the questions. So what's happening with the repeating decimal is that it's all over 999, 999. And actually, if you do the other way, if you put them into fractions, say 4 over 9, you're going to get decimal 4 repeating when you go and figure out how to make that into a fraction. Remember, we were working on those today. Okay, let's practice each one of these just for a minute then. Write each decimal as a fraction. So just send me your answer to what decimal 125 would be as a fraction. I haven't got any yet. So all you have to do is use the backslash. Give me the actual fraction on decimal 125. X note, Stephen, it's not repeating. How many zeros are going to be in my denominator? 1,000, that's right. So this is not a repeating decimal. 3 zeros, so it's going to be 125 over 1,000. I'm going to type that into the chat. That's what you should have gotten. All right, the next one is a repeating decimal, decimal 444, and it keeps going for 4s. Okay, I've got some good answers there. What are some other alternatives? I noticed that Manry, Stephen, and Kate, all of you are right, 444 over 999. Is there another way I could write that? I could write it as 4 over 9, but I could also write it as 44 over 99. Those are two also the same answer. All right? Dermoheet, do you have your hand up for questions? Or you just forget to put it down? Well, I guess that answers that one. Okay, my next one is decimal 27. So somebody, oh, Stephen's quick, you guys are fast draw. All right, 2 places behind the decimal. Our place 10 value, our base 10 value of our decimal denominator then is 100. That's right. So lots of right answers in there. Manry, Zach, Stephen was the first one in with that. All sorts of good answers. But the answer is 27 over 100. So if you remember that little memory trick, that's called a mnemonic. If you remember that little memory trick, then you're going to be fine. Now, the next one, 2,801 over what? How many zeros? Excellent, Lexi. We don't put the decimal into the fraction, guys. Remember that we're doing the equivalent fraction to the decimal. So just like on our decimal place value chart, decimal 2801 would be 2,801 10,000ths. So 200, and Jack's got it, 2,801 over 10,000, because we've got to add 4 zeros, 4 places behind the decimal. And our very last one is a huge number, and I'm seeing lots of answers that are right. Boy, you guys are quick off the draw. Kate, whole bunch of people were right on with that one. It's over 100,000. We don't really do these much on a test, but you were right. There are 5 decimal places, so there are 5 zeros in the answer. So that's gone pretty easily. So are there any questions about that? That's funny, Stephen. You really are starting to look like you're a brainy kid. Okay, I'm going to go over the page. Hopefully. Practice makes perfect. You're going to do one of these, but I want to go through them all very carefully. About decimal 4 of a math class will be going on field trip. Write the decimal in words and as a fraction in simplest form. So there's the There is the, don't answer these ones in the chat because these are going to be your homework ones. So if I was saying about 0.8 of a math class, I'm just going to use 0.8 so I don't actually do the work for you. I'm going to make this black. Sometimes my pen comes up yellow these days. I think it just hates me. Okay, going back. Okay, so I'm going to do 0.8. It's really, which equals 8 out of 10. Is that lowest terms? Why not, Stephen? Why not, Manreet? 4 is what? 4 out of 5 is. Thank you, Zach. That's right. Remember when we were doing fractions before, when we reduce a fraction to lowest term, we divide it till we can't again. Remember we were doing that on one of the vocabulary videos. They don't have any good ones for the ones we're doing right now. I was looking at them the other day. So we're going to divide the top and bottom by 2. I'm just going to write one big divide by 2 on there because I'm so lousy at this. And that's going to equal 8 divided by 2 on the top is going to be 4. And 10 divided by 2 on the bottom is going to be 5. Now there is no number other than 1 that both of those can be divided by, so that's in its lowest terms. So if I was doing 0.4 of a math class going on a field trip, we would write the decimal in words, which is 4/10. All right. The next one says 80% of all life on Earth lives below the ocean surface, and that's actually a true fact. So when you think about that, that's kind of amazing. 80% of all life on Earth lives in the ocean. Right? Decimal 80 is a fraction in simplest form. There's 2 ways that can be done, but they're both going to be right because when you get to simplest form, you are going to reduce that fraction until it can't be reduced anymore, just like we did above. All right. Number 3. Dennis read that decimal 7 repeating of his favorite cereal was whole wheat. What fraction of his cereal is whole wheat? So remember about repeating decimals, what they are over. And here's the very last one. The following numbers appear, this is kind of a tricky one, on 3 calculator screens. Match the correct displays to the correct fractions. You can read as soon as you got it written down. Try to do this using what you know about repeating decimals and don't use a calculator, okay? So don't use a calculator. Try and figure those ones out. Those are the tough. That one's a tough one for you that like a challenge. So I'll leave these up. You're welcome to leave as soon as you are done copying the homework. And we're done quick today. I'll have you know that we're done in 14 minutes. Feel good about that. So you've got it easy. Now the last thing before everybody finds out quickly is that we'll take a Wednesday morning. We'll decide or Wednesday afternoon in class. We'll decide whether we're going to do a review online on Wednesday in the evening because you guys have a math test on Friday morning. And I'm going to try and get Mrs. Stewart to just let me have you so you can all do them. Okay? Bye, guys. Bye, Manreet. See you, William. Bye, Shama. Okay, guys, make sure you sign off, please, because I got to get this recording. Thanks.